We have quite a few people join in. Let's good to start, I believe. Okay, so this session is going to be integration series we planned. Probably we have multi-part sessions that are coming in, which I'll be explaining you going forward. And this is about us. So we are delivering training on behalf of Saina Cloud Software Solutions. So we are put up right where in MG Road, Bangalore. Right here. So whenever you pass by, just drop in to say hi, hello. So we'll be happy to receive you. And we are founded in the year 2019, and currently we are a technology focused company. These are the current technologies we are dealing with. So we are dealing in finance and operations, Power Platform, logic apps, and any custom websites that might be coming in. So these are our key areas. So probably our trainings are also gonna be a mixture of all those things. Whatever you see. Even today, we are going to touch all the areas like a finance and operation, Power Platform, as well as logic apps. It's like that. And these are our current capabilities. We do implementation, integration, upgrade. We also take managed services, and we have a separate unit for learning and development, where we do corporate trainings for finance and operation, Power Apps, Logic Apps. Separately. That's how about us actually. And this is me. So myself, Parthasarathi Krishnamurthy. So currently I have around 14 years of experience in Dynamics and related technologies. Currently I do have an hands-on experience. With respect to that, my area of interests are on integration side and anything to do with coding, branching, and upgrade side, as well as currently I'm upgrading my knowledge on Power Apps, Power Platform, and the data factory side, and of course Logic Apps. Whatever is coming. So this is about me. And next is about this particular series. How it's going to be. This is going to be focused on integrations with finance and operations. So most of the sessions, whatever we planning here. Earlier we did some data management platforms. So we gave some data management related series that is available in our website. Probably you can just have a look. So this is going to be integration oriented services, where we are going to integrate finance and operations with multiple applications. To have a clear understanding that we are not going to go detail into Azure Logic Apps or whatever it is. There are a lot of videos available, but what we are trying to do is our main area of focus would be taking finance and operation as a consideration, how finance and operation can integrate with the external application in different ways. So today we are going to see one of the way. Actually, that's what I'm saying, various methods of integration. And in every session, we will focus to take a business scenario. Let's say that one of the scenario we'll take and we'll try to solve it on the session itself. That's how it's going to be. And it's a multi-part session. Currently we have almost lined up 5 sessions in a queue. So this is the first part of it actually. And there are 8 more to come. And also we are planning a certain series on Power Platform that is separately. So it's not in the integration. The Power Platform model-driven apps that is gonna come separately. Yeah. So this is about this series. How it's gonna look like. Probably at least till end of the year, I have a plan to give sessions on the interim basis. So what's gonna be today? Today is going to have a quick introduction to the logic apps, what we have. And we're gonna speak about some of the triggers, what the logic app provides, and we'll create some first logic app. And also we'll try to see what best we can do to integrate the logic apps with finance and operations. So that's all the agenda is gonna be. So this session can be useful in the initial part of the time for the functional people, sales people, or whatever, whoever has joined it. So we can just speak about the scenarios. Probably at the later of the sessions, it's going to be a pure technical. So whatever the scenario we spoke, we are going to live do it right away. Okay. So let's see some of the examples of logic apps with respect to finance and operations. So let's say finance and operations is available, and you would have known about workflows. A person submits a workflow, and it goes through the Dynamics 365 batch framework. Then the workflow approval will happen. So this is a normal process actually. So I hope like, okay, people are from Dynamics background are available. Let's say after the workflow is approval is done in finance and operation. So if I want to store the output or I want to store the document in SMTP, okay, is there any possibility without customizations available in Dynamics at the present? Like ER reporting, anyone knows about it?
No.
No worries, fine. So currently, so whatever the action that has to be done, let's say after the workflow approval, or like, okay, any business process you want to do, probably you want to go for the customization of the application. Let's say you want to store a file in SFTP folder. This is one of the scenario. For this, you have to go and write some extension classes for this particular existing workflow, and you'll have to like customize the application. That's how it goes, right? With respect to logic apps, how it happens. Let's say this is the flow where you submit the workflow and the D365 batch runs and the workflow approval is also done. Okay, this is all is happening within the framework of finance and operation. That is in the dynamic side. But the extra bit of thing that is like to store a file in a FTP folder, we can actually achieve it through logic apps, the separate one. Oh, so what does it mean? So without affecting the current functionality, the base logic of finance and operation, anything that comes in extra, okay, that can also be taken out and it can be done by using the logic apps connectors. So to give you a more idea, okay, what does where you want to fit into logic apps and where we can go to D365 customizations. So this slide might help you. Let's say that in the FinOps, we call it as a trigger. The trigger can be any one of them. So you're trying to update a record. That can be one of the trigger. You wanted to do some operation. Let's say that when the journal is posted, you wanted to do some operation. When a PO is received, you want to do some operation. And when a timesheet is submitted, you want to do some operation. Okay. So these are different parts of it. So when you say that when the PO is received, the process of the PO you want to modify, the core dynamics code you want to modify, yes, of course, you want to customize it within finance and operation. So that's a different story. But when the PO is received, you wanted to send the shipment information to your delivery partner. That is a separate logic, right? So instead of writing that into the finance and operation, we have a capability like we can expose the data of finance and operation out, like the PO received data out, and we can write a logic apps to perform that particular operation. Okay, so I hope like, okay, now would have got an idea like, okay, where to use a logic apps into it. And as part of the session, I have one area like currently I found one business scenario. This is what we are gonna do it today. So in the asset management, it's not a management request actually, it's a work order. So when a work order is scheduled, basically, I'm going to actually trigger a logic outside and I'm going to send the information out to logic apps. So work order is nothing but, okay, you take your bike to service and they take in the bike and they will give you a order stating that, okay, you just delivered your bike. We are taking that particular work and this work will be done in so and so date. And this work will be assigned to one of the technician who is available inside the premises and they will be considering it as a work order. So that's how the work order scheduling happens. So this all happens within finance and operation, nothing much we are going to do. But when the work order scheduling is done, I'm going to have a separate Power Apps. So what is going to do? So Power Apps is going to be handled by the workers. The whoever is going to be the scheduled workers, they are going to have the Power Apps. So when the scheduling is happened, I wanted to going to notify them stating that, hey, this particular schedule has been done for you, and I'm going to create Outlook event for them. So they go and open up their Power Apps. So it will be a calendar available and they can just click on the date and say that in this particular date, how many work orders I have, meaning to say how many tasks I have to do. That's how it is. So the base scenario is like I'm going to pull out the data of the work order scheduling being done, and I'm going to pass it out to the external system. That's the whole story of it. Okay. So any questions you have in this scenario before we go into the system? Okay, fine. So let me share another screen where I can show you the dynamic system. Okay. So this is a finance and operations dynamic system available. So here we have a module called asset management. Here we have work orders. So these are the work orders available, and this can be scheduled to a particular people. Actually, let's say that this work order is going to be on modifying, okay, a preventive check. It can be a preventive check, or you wanted to replace the knives in one of the parts of the, okay, an asset or whatever. Okay, so we will say, okay, this work order we will schedule it up right here, and we'll say this work order is gonna be scheduled, expected to start by 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. whatever, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. something like this. Okay. So now, what I will do is like, okay, I am going to find a person who is available to take this particular work order. So in Dynamics, there is an option available here called schedule. So you can just go ahead and hit on this particular schedule, and it will check who all the available people to take up and work on this particular work order. So for them, the schedule will be assigned, and that schedule is going to be happening normal. So I'm not going to touch that particular process. But only thing I'm going to do after the scheduling is done, I'm going to pull out the information. So from here, I'm going to decide, okay, what all the information I'm going to pull out from here. So let me go to the work orders. First, let me say that I will take out work order number. So let me try to form one JSON out of it. So I'll take out the work order number. Second, I wanted to have this description. So it may be useful, like, okay, to display in the app. So I'll just take out this description. Okay. Next, I want to know, like, okay, the date and time. What is going to be the scheduled start time and the end time? So I can say this to be from or whatever. This has got certain formats, probably like, okay, a different application requires different format. Let's say it can be 2023-06. Today's date is 16, and T followed by, okay, it's going to be on 8 a.m. and I'll say 2. This is going to be the scheduled 2. Okay, this on 16th, this is going to be on 9 a.m. And I can say whom is assigned to. This is going to be assigned to one of the user. Some of the user. So this is going to be the output, okay, which is gonna go outside basically. So like I'm going to consume this once the work order has been scheduled. Okay. So first, this particular application, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to construct a API in Logic Apps, which is going to be consumed in Dynamics. Okay. First of all, before going into these details, we'll go back into Logic Apps and see, okay, what the Logic App is. So basically, Logic App is a workflow-based platform. So it is going to trigger automatically. So like the batch process, okay, what you have in finance and operation. So when you have any certain processes done on the asynchronous basis, you will be triggering it in a batch, and the batch will be running on in the background, and it will be doing the process. Let's say the classical example is going to be workflow. Whenever you submit a workflow, batch will trigger and it will just push the record to the second phase. That is for the approver. Once that approver is done, it just again the batch runs, it pushes back to the one more approver. And once finally it's done, it says completed, right? So this is also kind of a batch, but this batch is not available in finance and operation. This batch processing is happening outside of Dynamics. That is in the Azure portal. So probably like I'll just start it from here. We have to go on to the portal.azure.com. And here you have a separate service called Logic Apps. Power App, Power Automate and Logic Apps are almost same. If you have an idea there, okay, this may be useful for you as well. So to create a Logic App, so we can say add. And let's suppose, okay, I'm going to create a Logic App to host this as a service now. Like, okay, it is going to take this input actually, and it's going to create a Outlook event. That is what it's going to do. So let me call this to be a CC demo. Outlook event, Outlook app. Okay. Then I'm going to do on the consumption basis, like it says here, best for the entry level. It's like a pay as much, only the workflow runs. So whenever a trigger runs, only then this will be incurred a cost. It runs based upon the number of runs you do actually. Yeah. I'll just say review and create. It just takes like, okay, less than 10, 15 seconds to create one of the logic apps right here. Let us allow this a moment. Yes, it is there. So we'll go to resource. And here we go. Like we have the Logic App designer, which is getting open. And they have given a small video to watch setting, okay, what is the Logic Apps is about. It says about the different integration things, cloud applications and other. If you come down, there is a common triggers available. Since we call it as a trigger, certain like it waits for a certain action to happen. Let's say that when an email is received in Outlook, you want to do something. Or like, okay, when a record is created in a particular table, you wanted to perform some operation actually. So it actually waits you to trigger it basically. Say stating that, okay, when a tweet is posted in the Twitter, okay, you want to do something out of it. So based upon everything is a trigger, right? So what we are going to take here is, and the templates. Okay, if you come down below, there are certain templates available. So if you don't want to start it from blank, probably you can go and say that, hey, I want to delete the old Azure blobs. So it just on the recurrence basis, it's going to delete the blob. It'll give the automatic connectors available. You have to go fill in here and there with your connections. That's it. Okay. So to start with, I'm going to say that I'm going to consume it as a service here, right? So I'm going to host this as a service, API service. So to that, I pick up one of the connectors here called when a HTTP request is received. So it just opens up the window here. I'm just going to keep it very simple here since it's the first session. So I'm going to give you some idea on the logic app side. That's it. Okay, before going on to here, we'll just add a new step. It's a step-by-step process. Okay, you can just keep going one by one. And here you could see there are many connectors which are available. The reason we are exposing our data out is because there are numerous connectors that are available and they are keep adding. So let's say that you wanted to get the data out from finance and operation and pass it back to one of the SAP system, or you have any cloud SQL server. Okay. Or like, okay, you wanted to do a document sign of the documents, okay, which you're going to pass it from Dynamics. There are plenty of connectors like this available outside. You can actually access one of them, and there are like actions and trigger points to that, and you can start using them. To give you search example, like there should be a DocuSign. Yeah. So for documents, if you want to deal with documents, okay, you have many connectors right here available. Probably like if you wanted to deal with the finance and operations, or you wanted to deal with SAP. I'm not sure, I've not used, but there should be. Yeah, so SAP connectors is also available. So you want to pull the data from finance and operation and push it back to SAP data. That is also possible. Looks like there is something for WhatsApp also. I don't know what is this actually. So, and you can also build your connectors. And in past, what we did, we have built a connector and we given it for a client. That is to sign application. So the bank information will come. We are doing an algorithm to sign the file and we are going to send it back to one of the other applications. So that we build it right here and we made it as a connector. So it's open to do it. So one of the connectors, what we are going to do here is on the Outlook 365. So like the Office 365. So we are going to create an event. Okay. So before that, I'm going to format that particular HTTP request, right? So in order to format that HTTP request, I'll take this out the JSON. Okay, whatever I have. Probably this is a JSON. I have a JSON of work order number, description, and assigned to, from, and to. And here is the proper date formats, okay, which are available, date and time. Let me copy this JSON and go back to the logic apps, okay, which I just created. It says request body should be a JSON schema. It's not a JSON though, it's a schema of a JSON. So to generate the schema of a JSON, it's very simple. You can just take it from here, use sample payload to generate the schema, test it out right here. So stating like, okay, this is going to be the JSON payload, whichever you want to convert. So once you paste it and say, okay, done, system automatically converts this JSON payload into the schema structure. So basically, what is a schema? Like it says that type is going to be an object, basically, and properties are these ones. Assigned to is all going to be of a type string, and work order is going to be a string value. Description is going to be a string value. It's going to define which field and what type is going to be. Okay, this is the JSON schema which has got formulated or populated right here. Okay, so with this particular schema, what I'm trying to do now is I will try to say, hey, once a request has been received, I wanted to create an Outlook event actually. So for that, there is a connector here available as a next step. I'll just take it out. This is the first step. This is over. I create a new step here and take out this Office 365 Outlook. You could see there are two sections that are available. One is triggers. Trigger is the one, okay, which says it waits for a certain action to happen. The triggers are the one, okay, which has to go above like this when a HTTP request is received, or when a new event is created, or when a new email arrives. I want to do something. Those are triggers. But I'm going to take an action now. When a trigger of HTTP request is received, I'm going to create an event in Outlook. That is like I'm going to put this work order into his calendar. That is what I'm going to do now. I say create an event. It just asks me to sign in. Okay, let me sign in with my account. So after the sign in, okay, it asks, okay, which is the calendar you wanted to add the event to? There are many calendars available, like birthday calendar and other things. Okay, let's say that I'm going to add it to the general calendar. And subject. The moment I click on the subject, you see to the right side, system gives the options from when the HTTP request is received. So when a HTTP request is received, I captured many values here, like a work order, description, many things I captured here. So I'll just select this subject and say, hey, take a work order number, space, description. Okay. So next is start time, and the expected format they are given right here, like it's going to be 17-T followed by the time as well. So I'll just take up the start time here. That's a from, and I'll take up the end time. So 2. Okay, and time zone. Probably you can just define the time zone, or you wanted to pull the time zone from the external application. There are options available. So you can just go ahead and write an expression for this and take whichever time zone dynamically. And I'll add one more parameter here. That is like who is required actually for this particular thing. Okay, required attendees. So these are the attendees which are required, meaning to say to whom the calendar should be created, assigned it to. Okay, so it's very simple. I just created, I haven't triggered anything. So it's kind of a service. And this service can be accessed by not only finance and operation, this can be accessed by any application. Like you have a .NET application and you are creating some event there. Like, okay, you can actually take this particular URL from this particular HTTP request, and you can just start using this particular logic apps. That is also possible. Okay. And what it says, it will says that URL will be generated after we save, basically. So I'll just hit on the save button. Now it generates the URL. So this is going to be the public URL by using which I can access this service. And if at all you wanted to go with extra things, like, okay, you wanted to add client certificates and other things, of course, you can just make it to the next level. I'm just keeping it very simple, like, okay, I'm just taking only the HTTP post URL for now. Copy this URL. Now we are good to go. Our other side of consumption is going to be, my input URL is going to be this one. It's going to be the input URL. And this is going to be the input JSON. Okay. So if I need to consume this particular service right here, I have to construct this JSON anywhere. It can be from finance and operation, it can be from .NET, or anywhere. I can consume it from anywhere. But as part of this session, I am going to consume it from finance and operation. So that's where our slide says, right? So it said that we are going to take it from finance and operation, then to logic apps, then to power apps. That's how the flow goes. Okay. And where the trigger point is going to happen for us is, I'll just write it down here. The trigger point is going to be when work order is scheduled. Okay. So when a work order is scheduled, I'm going to actually construct this particular JSON. This is in this order. Then I'm going to take this input URL and I'm going to post to the service. So these are the 4 steps I'm going to do actually. Okay. Any questions or any things you want me to address before I move on to the next step?
I have a question. So,
Mhm.
first of all, it's a very clean, explanation. I have. Can you come down, please, little bit? Create event
Sure.
before. Yes. Yeah. So you have. I mean, this may not be, related to this topic, but I still have doubt. You have logged in with your email ID, right? So when
Correct.
you do a code promotion, so how this is going to, I mean, in development environment, you can use your own username for testing, but when you do a code promotion, so how this is going to work?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a nice question. So basically, yeah, you'll have to mute. Yeah. So you have to mute. Yeah. What happens is that like when you do a code promotion, you just go ahead and export this particular service. I'll just tell it from here, this area. You can actually see the versions and you can actually go ahead and export this particular logic apps as well and import it. Okay. So once you go ahead and export and import this logic apps, there is a connection area. So whenever a logic apps you're going to import, basically, the connection of the Outlook, connection of any of the connectors you provided here, right? So those can be modified, basically. So the connectors show up right here, and there is an option to change the connection here. So you can probably change the connection and change it to whatever the connections you wanted to have. Probably it can be a service account, right? In your case.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, so that is the manual interruption, right? So can we do it via some, for example, pipeline, if we are using pipelines? So how this is going to, do we have some configuration? For example, the same question I have in another session also. You
Okay,
are
okay.
developing, you are doing a development now, it is good. And now you are promoting to dev test or test. In that case, your URL, everything will change, right? So how do you maintain those configuration without interrupting that apps, without touching the apps?
Sure, that's a nice one. Probably like, okay, I'll just make note of this. I'll try to prepare one of the sessions for you. When it's
Yeah.
there, I'll just keep you posted, and
Okay,
we
that's
can
fine. Yeah.
have it
Yeah.
addressed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, sure, sure. Thanks. Okay, good to go. Right. So our next step as part of this is like we are going to find our trigger point in dynamic side. So that's going to be our next thing. Fine. So how to do that? First of all, okay, I'll just go back and check where this schedule will happen. The schedule will happen in the schedule area, this button, basically. Once the schedule happens, what happens is that the record comes and sits into work order schedule. That is this area. This is what I say that the scheduling is been done. So now I'm going to say that when a record is inserted into this particular table, I wanted to call my API. Okay, that is what is the concept I'm going to try to implement now. So you know, like, okay, how to find the record of this particular table. So this is the ENT asset work order schedule list page. And there is a grid and which has been associated to the ENT asset work order line schedule. And the table is going to be ENT asset work order line schedule. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write a simple COC for this method, this particular insert method of the table. Okay, and this I'm going to be calling as the extension of okay. Simple COC. It's not insert set, it's record insert. That's it. Okay. So what we are trying to do here achieve is like we are trying to achieve this constructing this JSON. That is our whole idea. I'll take it up right here. Okay. So how to construct a JSON in Dynamics? So we have to first understand the structure. Okay, how the JSON looks like. So in the same structure, we have to create a contract class. So I've created a contract class already, just for the ease of the session. Like we have 5 different parameters that are available. So I created a contract class right here, stating this is a work order schedule, having work order number assigned to, from, to, and description. So these are going to be the 5 parameters. Okay, what I have currently here. So now I can actually pass the values into this particular contract. And after that, I can just try to query the service. Okay. So how to pass the value of the contract? We can just quickly write it down right here. I'm just going to first check if this dot worker is available, meaning to say if the scheduled worker is available, I'm going to declare this particular contract, that is this contract. Okay. Looking at here, so there are work order number available and description available. And these are information, these three information are coming from the schedule right here. So like we have hours here, worker here, and like, okay, the from and to date right here, scheduled dates. But the other two information like, okay, the work order and the description are coming from work order table. This is from a different table. So what I'll do, I'll quickly create a buffer for this asset work order table. And from the schedule, I'll just get the work order line. Take it and key. Now I can just good to fill in all the contract classes actually here. So I say first, I'm going to fill in the value of the work order number. This is going to come from work order table dot work order ID. Next is description. This is again the same. It's going to come from work order table dot. There is a field called description. Assigned to. Assigned to is going to come from the worker, and we are going to get the email ID of the worker. That is like the primary email of the worker. So for that, we are going to pick up the asset worker first. Then we'll take the worker, and there is an email ID which is available. We'll pick it up there. And two more simple things like we're going to take the from date and the to date. The from date and to date, it has to be formatted a bit so that I have a helper class, okay, which is formatting the date. And here I'm going to pass the scheduled start date. And next is going to be the same thing. That's it. We are done with this creation of the contract, actually. So what do? We have taken all the values from the different areas, that from the work order table as well as from the assigned, that is from the schedule, and we made a contract. Now, like, okay, we need to convert this contract class into a JSON. So next we convert JSON. So to do that, I'm going to declare a variable called string. There is a class called form JSON serializer by standard, which is going to serialize the class, and it's going to convert that into the JSON format. And I have a helper class, which is going to post the request. Post the API request. It has got two parameters. One is the JSON. I'll pass this JSON here. Second is that, okay, it asks, okay, the URL. URL I already had in asset management parameters. I'll show you while I'm just showing the demo. So it's going to be from ENT asset parameters, find coming up. That's it. So this code is going to be calling the service. Okay. So what exactly is there within this post API request is that it's going to take the JSON and the app URL, and it's going to construct the post method, and it's going to call the request. We are going to get the response and throw it back outside. Okay. And we have a connect code which is available, which is going to typically create a web header and connect it. So these are the normal codes to connect to any of the API services. That's it. Hey, do you have any other questions pertaining here? Okay, good. If there are no questions, then like, okay, I think we are good to go. So two things we have to do now. Like one is like, okay, I'm trying to, what does it say? Okay, I just missed out. I'll go ahead and try to build this particular project now. Hopefully there should not be any issues. And it's going to work like whenever a work order is scheduled, this should automatically consume the trigger, get the values and trigger it to the service. Okay, that's what it is. Yes. So it is the time is 15:52. Yes, correct. We are good to go now. So next is that, okay, I'll just go back and get the URL from Logic Apps. That is where we are going to trigger it, right? So the URL can be got from here. I'll just go to Logic Apps and get this copy URL.
Place this URL in parameter table. Right?
Yeah, I'm having in parameter. Yeah, that's what. So basically, I'm just taking it from the asset parameters directly. Let it load up. Okay. Here we go. And here, like, okay, we have asset parameter, and this is the URL I was speaking about. Whatever the URL I copied, I'll just paste it out here and save it. Next, I'll go to the all work orders. I'm going to do a trigger. So probably like what are the things we did? We created this one, and we gave it the input URL also, and we did the post service also in the code. The next thing we are trying to do is like we are going to do a trigger, and the trigger is based upon the schedule here. Currently, this order is in pending state. So I'll just go back and do a schedule, and we'll see that currently there are no schedules available. Let me do a scheduling. It does the standard process. So let's wait for some time. Okay, I'm good to go. Okay, so let me just do a refresh. It says that it's been scheduled, and to whom it has been scheduled. The work order has been scheduled it for this person. That is from for Ted Howard. It has been scheduled from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. actually. Okay, and who is this Ted Howard? We'll see this email ID. We'll just go inside the Ted Howard. Further, I'll just go dig into it. I'm trying to find out the primary email for this particular person. Okay, here we go. So I configured this with our account called demo@sainacloud.com. So probably this work order or this work order has been scheduled to this particular user now. Okay, that's an idea. So let me go back and see to the logic apps. Okay, here we saw it is successful, right? So what has happened to the logic apps? I'll go to this resource. In the overview section, you see there is a trigger that has happened called succeeded. So we didn't do it actually anything from the logic app side. We just created and kept it aside, and we triggered it actually from the finance and operations side. So how did this run? So there is a HTTP request that has been received, which has been assigned to this particular person. And what is the description for the work order? What's the work order number, the start date time, and the end date time? With this information, system has went ahead and created an event right here. So it has created an event in the calendar, like, okay, with this particular subject, and it's got assigned to this user, demo@sainacloud.com, and all went fine. Okay. So when you open up the normal calendar of a user, you would have seen that one request has come here. Like this is a normal Outlook for the user. I'll just go to the calendar. You see here, like, okay, this is a previous one actually I made. It is there. So it says that from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. I'll just delete one of them. Okay, it'll be confusing. So there is a 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. This person has got scheduled with one of the work orders actually now. Okay, so this is not it. So what I will do, it is very usual for the workers to get it this Outlook mail missed out, right? So finally, we'll do a final touch by creating one of the app right here. So this is a very simple one, and I'll take up into the Power Apps area, Canvas app. Let me call this to be a work order scheduling app. Create. Keep it. And I'm going to create a new screen. There are some templates available. I'm going to use the same thing. So there is a template called calendar. I logged into this user already, demo user. So like, okay, I just take it up the calendar. Let's wait for some time. It does the process itself, actually. We don't need to do any single piece of code out here in Power Apps. It connects back to the Outlook calendar and gives us a promising app. Okay, here we go. And we are done. We'll just run this app. It's not a birthday one, it's a calendar. The moment I say the calendar, you see a small dot here. The moment I click, okay, you'll be able to see it's been scheduled from 1:30 a.m. for 60 minutes. And the work order number is going to be 12, followed by the description, so that this app now can be presented to the maintenance worker. That is like where you give your bike for a service. The service person can use this app, and they can actually see, hey, these are my calendars for a particular day, and they can take an action upon it. You can actually enhance it further. This one, so you can actually go back and say, like, once this order has been finalized, this can be taken back, the status can be taken back into Dynamics again. So probably those things are all going to come back in the second part or third part of the sessions. Okay. So this is what is the whole idea. I just gave one small business case actually, and hopefully, like, okay, it would have been somewhat useful for you guys. And that's the end of the session. Any questions?
The same question. Can you please show us how can we export the logic app and import back to?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take it up to the further thing. So I didn't go into the management side of the logic apps, right? We have a clone option available, and we have, like, okay, we can export, means we can take out the code base separately. We can store it in a Word document. Again, we can import it actually. Yes, of course. I can cover it as part of the next session. You can watch out. I'll share the agenda accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, for large scale projects, they will configure the pipeline. It seems.
Mhm.
Um, but I really don't have. I'm new to Logic App, so I'm learning now. For big projects, so they will configure the pipeline, so everything should be automated. That's the reason I'm asking this question. So I have zero idea about logic apps. Currently, I'm learning it.
No worries,
It's
no
a
worries.
clean,
No worries.
it's
As
a
I
very
told,
clean,
sorry, go ahead, please.
yeah, it's a very clean explanation. So I understand a lot. But only thing is, yeah, I have this question in my mind. Before start learning it, how can we promote the apps to some other environments without touching the apps actually? And the secondly, and what is the difference between the power apps and logic apps? So yeah, so for example, in I have seen many projects, the Azure team, they are using the Power Apps for some integration, and Logic Apps and Azure Functions for some integration. So I really don't know the difference in what case we have to use the Logic Apps and what case we have to use the Power Apps.
Most of them, okay, both of them are going to have a similar connectors, we can say, but having a different platform altogether. When you say Logic Apps, that is in the Azure platform. So mostly the Power Automate that goes hand in hand with Power Apps application actually. So we mostly use it with the CDS connectors and other things. Any development, okay, which you're going to do separately outside, okay, like you have purchased a license for Power Apps, so you would have purchased it for Power Automate as well, right? So people don't touch Logic Apps in that case, so they will be fine with Power Apps and Power Automate, and they will be keep building the apps around it. But when you come to business applications like, okay, ERP or something, so you would have had some subscription that has been available in the portal.azure.com site already. Okay. And with that, okay, you can try to connect to the dynamic side. So that's where like, okay, you get into the logic apps. That's how people mostly prefer. But if you wanted to know the exact place, okay, both offers the same phenomena. But logic apps is going to have more in the business side and power apps is going to be the application side, the other side actually.
Okay, so what is the license? I mean, in terms of license, how do we need to pay something extra or a different license we need to buy, or it will come along with the standard license?
Sure. As I told you earlier, so Logic Apps comes with the subscription based. So when I'm creating a Logic Apps, you would have noticed, right? I would have created it against a subscription. So that
Yeah.
subscription is linked to Azure basically. So the payment of
Okay.
that is something different. When it comes to Power Apps, the Power Apps has got a paper license and as well like a paper flow runs. That is a separate licensing that comes different. So that's purely depend on the company, okay, who's trying to implement. Okay, if they're comfortable with the Azure portal, Azure Power Apps and all, like, okay, they just differentiate it. But if you wanted to have a clean explanation, probably we can have a session separately for that, stating, I made a note of it here. So when to use Power Apps, Power Automate, and when to use Logic Apps. That we'll have some business use cases for that in the future.
Yes, that will be nice because I'm working on many integrations. So the most, I mean, the customers is mostly they are asking. First question is why we need to use the different services when the dynamic support. I mean, it's a normal integration. Okay, I'm not talking about that huge volume of data integration. So it's a normal
Okay.
integration. So they are asking why we need to go for Azure or Power Apps. So when dynamic, so why can't you do custom code? Of course, I have written so much of framework to integrate with that party applications, but still the first question they will ask this one. I mean, I do not have answer. I have searched enough in Google and other stuff. Yeah, I did not have a very clarity. So it would be nice. So if someone has experience working on this, that will be helpful to it. I mean, if
Sure,
they
sure,
explain it.
sure. I have some insights about it. So I already told you, right? So on update of a record, journal posted, PO received, and when timesheet is submitted, let's say you want to do some operation on top of it. So this
Mhm.
requires a feasibility of a developer, Dynamics developers to get it done, correct?
Yeah.
And it requires a customization to be done. Let's say that, okay, the implementation partner has done, and now like, okay, you don't want to touch the application, it is all fine. So in that case, the extra bit of things, okay, you can just take it outside. But if you are as part of the implementation, that's your choice then, whether you have to use logic apps or you wanted to customize it part of the Dynamics application. That's again like purely depend on the solution architect, okay, who just designs the application right here. So anything that comes in logic apps, they say it as like, okay, as you saw now, right? So with a click of a buttons, okay, I can just finish up the operation and go back. Maintaining is also like very simple. Like, okay, if there are any error comes up, okay, there are logs available, I can just go and check it up. But in case of Dynamics coding, again, like you wanted to write the custom logs and to keep it aside. Both has got
Exactly.
pro and cons. Yeah. So, but again, as I said, it depends on the developer.
Yeah, because most of the customers are, they are concerned about the money. So
That's a final point. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the nice questions. I got 2, 3 leads for the next series
So
actually. I don't
maybe
want to
I'm
bring the
wrong.
end.
I don't know, because these
No,
are
no,
all
no,
the
that's fine.
questions came to my mind when, yeah, because I'm just start learning it.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Fine, guys. So is there anything else I could address?
The trigger happened at insert method only, right?
Yes, correct. The trigger has happened in insert method, right? And that trigger can happen anywhere, as you see in Dynamics, right? That code you can copy paste it anywhere, basically.
Based on requirement, if it is button,
Yeah,
then
based upon your requirement. You wanted to change it on the status update. Yes, of course, do it. Like it'll be triggered, and the logic apps will respond to you. And to answer the other person's question, okay, you can actually enable or disable at any point of time the customizations. Let's say that on these particular logics, you don't want to do it at a certain point of time. It's very simple that you go to logic apps and do a disable button. The logic will never work going forward. Okay, and also it does not require any package implementation through LCS and other things and all to do this process works. So you wanted it now, you can create a logic apps and you can get it right away within 5 minutes. Okay, there is no production downtime or you don't need to take the live environment down to get this all done. That's probably one of the additional thing which I want to tell it to you. Okay, thanks then. Thanks for joining. I like who know it's like late. Okay, it's 8:30 p.m. So and like you guys turned up, it's like a very energetic for me as well to do the next piece of sessions. I'll just come up with the next series and I'll just keep you posted, guys. Huh? Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Krishna.
nice explanation. So if possible, please say, do one session by using business events.
Yeah, the next sessions are all there. I said five sessions are queued up, right? On which one
Yeah.
of them is business events, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a
Thank
nice
you
day,
for the
guys.
detailed
Bye.
note.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
thank you.